Sahana vavatu Sahanau bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant and may we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace unto us all. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to all of you. Welcome everyone to the Sri Sathya Sai Baba Center of Arcadia. We are doing the study circle on Gita Vahini, and we have been discussing the last few weeks the chapter 2, the Sankhya Yoga of Bhagavad Gita. So we, I think, finished the slokas 54, 55, and 56 last week. Anybody keeping track of that? So we, as I said, who can summarize? This is the three important things in Sankhya Yoga. One is sloka 12 to 30th, where the differentiation from Atma to Anatma, and sloka 30 to 38, Dharmashtakam, where what is our Dharma. So he talks about it. And before we started this, 38 to 50, about how we do the karma, which is a very important section. Everybody should read, because all of us, if we not be involved in high philosophy, Atma, Anatma, but every one of us is involved in action, and there are at least three important things you need to remember. One is karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhir mato sangestva karmani. So you are bound, you need to do the work, but give up the fruits of action to Lord and always be involved in work. And another important thing is, whenever you are doing work, this is yoga karma sukhaushalam. Do it skillful, skill in action, perfection in action is yoga. But when we are doing yoga work, there will be challenges. Samatvam yoga ichate, maintain that equal mindedness. So those at least three important points we need to remember. Then he says you will be established in wisdom. Then Arjuna had a question as a good student. What is this man, Stithaprajna, the man enlightened, the man of steady wisdom? So he asked the question, because this is said from sloka 54 to 72, the summary of man who is enlightened. How does he do? So he says, Stithaprajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava stitadih kim kamasita prajeta kamasita vrajeta kim. He says, what are his quality? And he's a prabhasheta. How does he talk? Kim asita, how does it is sit and move about? Rajeta kim. So what is his behavior? So he wants to know, say, instead of saying he's evolved soul, he's enlightened. So he wants to know what is his feature, what is his qualities, characteristics. Then Lord has starting with Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyeva atmana tushta tasya prajna pratishtita tasya Stithaprajnasya dujyate. So he has to first, important for all of us, controlling the desires. Sarvan kaman is not for easy for all of us. So there is a ceiling on desires, Swami said, because man minus desires is equal to God. Then you don't live. The reason we are born is because of our karma, by our desires. If your desires are completely gone, there is no birth at all. So he says, if you want peace, just sarvan kaman prajahati yada. So just give up all the desires. Then what will happen? Because of desires, we get happiness, right? So we had good food, or watch good things, or talk good. But this person is Atma Rama. He is happy within himself. He doesn't need outside stimuli to be happy. Atmanyev Atmanatushta. That is very important point. By the self, he is reveals in the self. So prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyev atmanatushta. Then when you are so happy, then 56 sloka we did that. Dukkeshu anudvigramana sukeshu vigatas praha vita raga bhaya krodha stitadir muniruchyate. So this is a very practical. When you live in that stage, when you have no desires and you are very reveling in the Atma Rama, so then what happens? Dukkeshu anudvignamana. Whenever major sorrow, major catastrophe, we all get shaken up, people. So he doesn't bother him. He's steady. Sukeshu vigatas praha. When something nice happens, he doesn't get excited. So no roller coaster, getting depressed or getting elevated. So dukkeshu anudvigramana, sukeshu vigatas praha. So when it happens, you don't get, then what happens? Vita raga. You won't have any attachment to anything, whether it is your properties, family, friends, bank balance, your scholarship and name, fame, power, position, including ultimately the body. And Vita Raga Bhaya, you don't have any fear. And we talked about so many kinds of fear from birth to death. There are so many fears. Fear of old age, fear of losing health, fear of losing wealth, fear of losing the family, friends, fear of losing the name, fame. Finally, fear of, the greatest fear is fear of death. So nobody wants to die because we are immortal, we don't die, but we are, because this body dies, but we think we die. That is why it says fear of death is, according to Vedantins, it is wrong, because what dies is body and mind intellect complex. Real thing, that is what Atma, that is what we should remember. Real thing, it doesn't die. So that is why these people, great saints like Sri Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi, great, they leave the body smiling, not crying. That is why Swami says, the great people, when we are born crying, right? If you don't cry, the pediatrician gives a slap, yeah, there is some problem. But when you die, you should die laughing, he said, not crying. Other people may cry because such a good man, a good lady laugh, but you should go with a smile. So that is what, Vita Raga Bhaya, but no thing, Krodha. Another thing is anger. So these three are the major things which the man with enlightenment is avoids that. So Krodha means anger. Then actually he is going to discuss next few slokas. Why do we get anger? Beautifully Sri Krishna analyzes why people get anger, and because of that, your judgment falls away. Is going to discuss that. Okay, this is what we discussed. Now we are going to start sloka 50.
I think there is one you missed, that Satpika Buddhi aka Kurunanda, that karma.
So that is in the
that
karma.
Is in the karma.
There's a one-pointedness. Yeah. So there is another important sloka. When you do karma, there is also karmanya good. It's a good thing to remember. Karmanya vadhikaraste, then vyavasayatmika buddhi. That means one-pointed. Whatever work we do, we should give up the results, but have the one-pointedness and maintain the perfection in action, and then have samatvam. That's a good point. Good Krishna. I like that. That is what good student and thinker, that's the way we should remember. So at least major points. Then this is all practical application. Now, man of enlightened wisdom, we talked about, first is the control of desires, and second is not getting roller coaster, excited or depressed, and no attachment, no fear, no anger. Now the sloka 57. Yas sarvatra anabhisnehas tatat prapya shubha ashubham na abhinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratishtita. his prajna is pratishtita, he is well established in that stage. He says, sarvatra anabhisneha, he's never got entangled in anything, not, that means he has no attachment or entanglement in anything. Anabhisneha, sneha means friendship, but here not talking about regular sneha. Anabhisneha means not getting too passionate. People sometimes they get so excited, whatever it is, like sports, they are watching that, they whole they get emotional, that. So he's just very calmly, peacefully, whatever action he does, anabhisneha. Tat prapya shubha shubham. Then the outcome of always anything will be sometimes shubham, sometimes ashubham. So good and bad. So he says, na abhinandati. When good thing comes, he is not excited, oh, very happy, very happy. Not dveshti, not repulsed. So this is the thing. Always in that stage, he is not entangled in anything. And whether shubha, shubham, na abhinandati, na dveshti. So he's going on, you can see from the beginning to the end, Lord Krishna is emphasizing this even-mindedness, equanimity. So he says that is the problem for all of us. We get agitated. So he always maintains, because samatvam yoga vichyate. So this is very important. Actually, if you take the Bhagavad Gita, the second chapter, the slokas, this is about qualities of a Sthitaprajna, man of enlightenment. Then you go to chapter 12. He says same thing. Arjuna asks, who is a bhakta? We all say, oh, I'm a devotee of Lord Krishna, Rama, Swami. So who is a devotee? Then he talks about slokas 13 to 20th in chapter 12. You should also read that. So if all this will be almost everywhere he points out that. And in also chapter 13, where he tags how does a man who is jnani behave. He gives the qualities, jnani qualities. If you want, that is a jnani. And in chapter 14, man who goes beyond the three gunas, because we all have sattva, rama, rajas and tamas, who is one beyond the three gunas, trigunatita. So if you see all these qualities of a Sthitaprajna, qualities of a bhakta, qualities of a jnani, and qualities of a trigunatita. So all will be similar. Because he says, unless you go on repeating, you see that always he repeated at least 3-4 times in the last few shlokas. So, yes sarvatra anabhisneha tatat prapya shubha shubham na abhinandati na dveshti tasya prajna pratishtitaha. So he is the one who is not involved, and whatever good or bad comes, he doesn't get excited or just get depressed. Next one, 58. So if anybody has any comments or questions in between, please start. Yada samharate chayam kurmo anganiva sarvashaha indriyani indriyartebhyaha tasya prajna pratishtita. Every place like a definition, tasya prajna pratishtitaha, tasya prajna. Prajna is awareness. So prajna is one of the important calls. When we do the Gayatri mantra, we say Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. So what is this? We said we pray to God. I'm contemplating Dhiyo Yona, my Dhi. Increase it. So anybody other than Krishna, anybody wants to say what this Dhi is? What will we pray Dhi? We chant every time Gayatri so many times. Every session we chant, right? First you should know the meaning and chant. So what is there is one. Good. So Dhi has got 5 components. When we say Dhi, we chant. One is Dhi, as it says, intellect. And another is Medha. Dhi and Medha. One is that is spiritual heart. Then Prajna, this one, awareness. And then Dhruti, higher willpower. And Smruti, memory. That's why people who chant Gayatri get good memory. So all these 5 components. So Dhi has these, all the components. Medha, Dhi, Prajna, Dhruti and Smruti. So when you pray to the Gayatri mantra Savitur, then you get all these qualities. So just please, whatever we do, so Tyagaraja says, Telisi Rama Chintana Che. Just whatever you do, understand and do that, not mechanically, other becomes mechanical repetition in these words. So Gayatri Mantra, we chant almost every session, right? You should know the meaning. What is, next time I will tell, what is Vyahruti, Bhurbhuva, what does it Bhurbhuva mean? Versus Bhargaha. So then you contemplate, then you enjoy the meaning, then you enjoy the really thing. So here I am talking about Prajna Pratishtita. That means he is established in that divine awareness all the time. Because, yes, here, Yada Samharate Chayam Kurmo Anganiva Sarvasha. Beautiful example, because we can't understand. Lord is so compassionate, whether it is Sri Ramakrishna, Shirdi Baba, Swami, or even Lord Krishna. They give parables, or Jesus also. Parables are small stories. Otherwise, high philosophy we can't understand. Always they give, Swami used to call Chinna Katha, that means a small story. Sri Ramakrishna parable, Jesus, lot of parables. So then you can understand. Here he is giving a simile example. Like a tortoise, a turtle, Samharate Kurmo Anganiva Sarvashaha. Whenever you see the turtle, it has got limbs, right? When it sees noxious stimulus, it withdraws the things inside it, turtle, right, to protect itself so that it is not hurt. So this says the way a tortoise, a turtle withdraws its limbs inside, similarly a man who is established in this wisdom, he will withdraw his senses from sense objects. That means basically taking sense control. So really a man of wisdom, you need to withdraw, like the way he gave the example, tortoise withdraws his limbs into its shell. You won't see, because it doesn't want to be affected by the noxious stimuli outside. Similarly, a man of wisdom withdraws from the senses, because the senses will agitate you and distract you. So you may think, what are the senses? Main thing we need is what we see, what we hear, and what we touch, and what we taste, talk. All these the various organs of karmendriyas and jnanendriya, organs of perception, organs of action. So these are the one which we get into trouble. That is why we said, when we were last time also we talked on Mahashivratri, what is the one which gets into the trouble? 11 anuvakas we do. Anybody wants to say? What are the one which takes us to happiness or misery? 5 karmendriyas and 5 jnanendriyas. That makes 10. And then the control is mind. So these are the things which gives us pain. And it can also give pleasure if you turn towards God. The whole thing is like a Swami says, key, you turn to one side, it locks, the other side unlocks. Similarly, you turn the mind towards God, it releases you, gives you liberation, happiness, peace, and joy. If you turn toward the world, it gives you bondage, misery, and sorrow. So just that is why, depending upon what. So similarly, the way the tortoise withdraws its limbs, similarly, a man of wisdom will withdraw from these sensual distractions. Like, for example, as I said, just don't see the wrong things. That is why Swami made it easy. You say, don't see anything bad, don't hear anything bad. Just see good, see no ill, hear good, hear no ill, speak good, speak no ill. It may be hard for people. You want to see something. Swami made it easy. You see. But if you want to see good things. You want to watch, see good God's movies, or say it's about saints and all that. If you want to hear, yeah, hear, no problem. Hear the divine stories, divine leelas, or bhajans. That is good, but don't listen to gossip, rumors, false news. And you want to speak? Yeah, speak. Speak about God's and repeat japa name, but don't talk about anything which is unnecessary, which doesn't take you towards God. So everything, and hands, instead of using for something, use for worship of the Lord, offer flowers, incense, do that. And feet, instead of going to the wrong places, Las Vegas, or some gambling places, movie houses, go, if at all you have to go to any temples, places of worship, where you be in tune with God. Ultimately, you don't need to go anywhere, because it is Atma Rama, everybody has indwelling temple. Just go inside, that is the best. Similarly, he says, don't withdraw from that, but if you cannot withdraw, because most of the people go in the contemplative, like Ramana Maharshi, people in Himalayas, they just go into meditation for hours or days. They can do that. For a lot of us, it may be hard. Then best is use the same sense organs for doing the right things. So slowly they will be so absorbed in divine thoughts and divine things, then it is easy to be established in the prajna. That is why he says you should vidya. Then here is cute, he says, next one, 59.
Also, people can work in the organization for Swami very much, and so that you can also, that is one another important thing, as you say, basically.
Yeah, that is one of the spiritual practices. To be able to work for God, even when Swami Chaitanya, the Ramakrishna monk, said that is the last thing in spirituality. Because Viveka Chodamani, that is the Adi Shankara crest jewel of discrimination, he says, 3 things impossible to get by human effort. Even whatever you try, you may get millions, you may get property, you may get name. 3 things you cannot get, he says, Manushyatvam, Mumukshatvam, Mahapurusha Samshayam. To be born as a human being is not easy. There are so many species of being. They say 8.4 million species of beings are there. So just to be born as human, because probably even we, probably at one time we were a tree or a plant or a bird or a beast or a dog in my previous life, because Shiri Baba showed when they was going, these 2 goats were there. He said these 2 were brothers in the previous life. And one snake and frog was there. He told what they were in the previous life, Veerabhadrapa, Channabasappa. So a lot of lives, how many lives we spent in the lower things. So to be born as human being is the grace of God. But Manushyatvam, Mumukshatvam, to be able to have that desire for God. That means there are 7, and now 7.8, I used to say now there is 8 billion people. I heard now recent statistics is there are 8 billion people walking on this planet Earth. But how many people are interested in God? The Swami says, eating, drinking, being merry, sleeping, that's all, and having things. So very few people have. So to be able to have interest in God, let me tell all of us, we are seated here or who are listening about Swami, only by his grace you can listen. So Sri Ramakrishna said that, our Swami said. So we are blessed to have the opportunity to hear about God. Everybody, even if you want, you cannot hear, because that is the way it is. They will have distracted, some appointment, something else happening, health problem, family problem. To be able to come to God and do that without any question, it is only by his grace. Otherwise we cannot. Even if you want to do that, you cannot do. I have heard so many people who wanted to see Swami or want to go, something else comes last minute, they cannot go. So to be able to participate in satsang, to be able to hear his words, it is only by his grace. Actually, Lord Krishna says in the 18th chapter, the end, only those who are blessed to hear about me is by my grace. And those who talk about this, they are the blessed. And who spread the message, they are blessed. So this is very, very important. So Manushyatvam, Mumukshatvam. So there is, so we are all blessed. And what is the third blessing? Mahapurusha Samshayam. Contact with a great holy saint. Like some people have a good guru. Some people like Chinmayananda, Chidbhavananda, Vivekananda, Ramana Maharshi. To give a good guru who will show you way to God is another great blessing. But we don't have Mahapurusha. What do we have? I talked in front of Swami to him. We have Purushottama. Supreme Lord himself is both our Guru and God. So usually Guru takes you to God. We don't have to Guru and God in one. So that is the blessing we have. So Purushottam we have, that is the greatest blessing to have. That is the third. So we are born as humans, we have interest in knowing the truth, and then to be able to have contact with God. There is so many lifetimes of penance we have. This is what Swami said, to come in touch with an avatar. That is the greatest blessing one can have in lifetime. Because everybody says, oh, I wish I was there in the time of Jesus, or I was there in the time of Rama or Krishna. Here we are in the time of Lord Sai. That is a great blessing. And then the fourth highest grace is to be able to work for God. to be able to work in the divine mission, to serve him, his devotees, and the creation. That is the last thing in spirituality, to be able to serve God, because that is the last word, so which will take us to God. So why did we talk about, why did this discussion come? So you asked something, to be able to work in the organization. Actually, Swami said, it is one of the Dasara time. So those times, Swami himself used to give the voluntary badges to the Sevadaks, the volunteers. Then that time he said, those who serve in my divine mission, but qualified selflessly and with love, they will be liberated from cycle of birth and death. Not only them, their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. So you are doing service to your lineage also, other people. But serve two qualifications, lovingly with selflessness, that we will be liberated from cycle of birth and death. And our children, you can verify this is in Ananda Dai, Satsai Ananda. So this Swami said that long time ago in the Dasara time. So just to make use of that opportunity to serve selflessly is very important. So then, that's why when we withdraw from senses, so just get involved the senses in stuff. That's why another example, Swami said this room has a foul smell. Instead of vacuuming, it is very difficult. So put a nice incense stick. Automatically the bad smell you don't feel, right? So similarly, always think about God, talk about God, see the divine things, hear about divine, and get involved, then everything will be sanctified. So that is one thing. Next, 59 is very interesting. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya deina rasavajyam rasopyasya parandrishtva nivartate. So he says, you can control, because you can, I don't want to eat too many sweets because I have weakness, or I want to don't do that, pickles, I don't want. So just Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina. You are controlling your senses very strictly. But rasavajyam rasopyasya parandrishtva nivartate. But you may have a hankering inside. That is not good. So just you may be externally controlling it, but internally I wish I have it, I control. You will be thinking about it. So that is called rasavajyam. So still you have that vasanas. That is not easy to get. When the least temptation comes. So I have seen one friend, he was a vegetarian for so long, but at one stage in the end, after that, even before he died, suddenly he had craving for eating meat. All those days suppressed, but suddenly this old vasanas, the subconscious state, they come out. It happens even great saints. So that is why Sri Ramakrishna said two greatest temptations. Used to call Kamini Kanchana, but it is lust and greed. So these are the things we never know when it sprouts. Sri Ramakrishna gave a beautiful example, like you said, the lawn, there are weeds are there. You remove the weeds, everything's happy, my God, the weeds are gone. So then when the suddenly rains, showers come after a while, slowly they come back. That means they are not gone permanently, they are there. So this is very difficult to eradicate it. Then how is it? Don't need to get dispirited. He says, this is very important, this commented saying for all spiritual seekers. Yes, we can control the senses from sense object, but the craving completely goes away once the blessings of the Lord. Param drishtva nivartate. The Lord's blessing, the Lord's darshan, all these vasanas will be burnt away. One time Swami told me, like you have mountain of karma, we all have to pay for it, but God's grace will burn. He gave an example, like mountain of cotton is there, big mountain full of cotton. You put one matchstick, the whole it will become in a trice, it becomes ash. Similarly, all our vasanas or bad karmas, just by His grace to go away. But you need to deserve the grace. For that, you need to put this sadhana and self-effort. So this is the greatest thing. Here one story I can tell how these vasanas are very hard. You know, sage Shuka, he is the one who told Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit. And then with 7 days he heard and he was liberated. right? That is what we all know. That is why we read Srimad Bhagavatam. So his father, who is his father? Vyasa. So he's the one who compiled the Vedas, he wrote the 18 Puranas, wrote all these great scriptures. So Shuka, as soon as he was born, he was a Brahmajnani. And these people are like Avadutas, they don't wear any clothes because he has no body consciousness. So he was going away, his father was worried, this guy, he wants, son, where are you going away? Because he is like Avaduta, they don't have body consciousness, they are all in the revel of the Brahmajna. He was going and this Vyasa was running behind him. Then they were seeing, they were nearby in a lake, some women were taking bath, they were not clothed properly. So when this Shuka was only in 16 years, a teenager in 20, so they didn't do anything. But when the sage Vyasa was going, they all covered themselves. So he had a doubt. He asked them, "Those guy is a young man who is going there and you didn't even cover. But when I am going, you did the old man." But that man is no body consciousness. He doesn't know who is man, woman. He's above the gender consciousness. Whereas you have tasted all the worldly pleasures. So you know who is what. So you have that vasana still. So that is why we had to this lesson. People, it's not the age. Some people have completely got rid of their vasanas, even engaged. So to go away that even that little vasanas, you need parandrishtva nivartate. You need the grace of the Lord. So that is a very important lesson. So go on praying God, please get rid of the vasanas. So one time one devotee asked, Swami, let me not have punarjanma. That means not to be born again. Swami said beautifully, Purva Janma Vasana. Pote Punarjanma Mundad. That means if you got rid of this, your previous life vasanas, then you won't be born. But as long as those vasanas are there, that means these tendencies, they will sprout again. That is why they'll be born in the next life with that same thing we start. So always, not only to withdraw the senses from that, but you need to get rid of that, even that little hankering which we have inside, because all of us, it's not easy because lifetimes we have had those kind of things. So just get rid of this vasanas is very important. Now he's telling, God is very considerate. Yatatohyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramadhini haranti prasabam manaha. Vipaschitaha means, he says, even a man who is very enlightened, very knowledgeable, even him, these senses are so powerful, turbulent, they pull him. So we can all see, so it is not easy. He himself, the Lord is telling, these senses are powerful, they are very turbulent, they try to take you away your mind to this different. So, even you try that, even person who is a wise man, these indriyani pramadhini haranti prasabam manaha, they steal your mind, they take you away from God towards this worldly objects. That means, that is why he says, ABC, always be careful. Swami says, in Kathopanishad, this, you know the story of Nachiketa and Yama, there it says, Shurashya Dhara, spiritual life is like walking on a razor's edge. It's easy to, anytime you have a fall. We have seen so many, even so-called saints, gurus going in the wrong path. We might have heard from in the news media. So, the Swami said, beautiful example, even to take a small stone up the hill on the top, it's hard, you have to struggle. Even a big boulder from the top of the thing, to push it down, it will go. So fall down in spirituality is very tricky, it is easy. But to go up and maintain that, you need constant vigilance. Always be careful and always have that steady spiritual practices and a regularity with discipline to keep in that state. Otherwise, just little slackness, today I can get up late, yeah, it is okay, instead of half an hour, let me do 5-10 minutes, it's okay. Slowly mind becomes lazy and avoids. So you need to have that intensity and regularity and steadiness in spiritual practices. All the even so-called great monks I have seen, they don't need to do that, but just for an example, like Sri Ramakrishna, it's almost like an avatar, but still he used to sit down for meditation, he used to do the worship of Mother Kali, to set an example. So always you need to have steady spiritual practices. So that is what he says. Even for a wise man, these turbulent senses, they withdraw. Then what should you do? 61. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yashendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. He is established in one who, even though these are turbulent things, he just really with determination and courage, he just controls these senses and keeps his mind in me. So once you keep your mind in God, automatically it is much easier to control the senses. Just you yourself, I will not do this from now on, it is difficult. But you say you are thinking about God, automatically these things won't repeatedly say when you are going towards north, you are going away from south. So similarly, you are going towards God more and more, naturally the other things automatically fall off. That is the important thing. The whole thing is constant practice. That is why abhyas, constantly practice. So this is distracting me. And even every one of us has to do self-audit, which is the sense which is causing us distraction. When we quietly sit for meditation, that is the time we will get what is it which is not making me focus on God. So that is why Swami says just 11 seconds you think about it, shows how it is hard just to be completely focused even for 11 seconds. So this is a constant practice, abhyasa. But you have some question?
Vasanas are so tough. Vasanas are so tough to remove. When it expresses, it is either through thought, word, or deed. Is there some gradual hierarchy? I mean, is it a sign of progress if, as a first step, I'm able to control the expression as action, and maybe words too, even if I'm unable to stop thoughts due to these vasanas?
Yeah, so that is a good point. So these vasanas, because of the vasanas, all these things, what you think, so three instruments, this is karanatrayam. Everybody has three instruments. One is mind, thought, another is word, which is walk, another is action. So thought, word, deed, that's all it says. So these vasanas will express. So anything is, which is grossest is deed, action. And then subtler than that is word. Subtler than that is thought. So you can start at the grossest level. So in the gross level, don't hurt anybody. Like at least to my knowledge, Sai devotees, we won't beat people or hurt people physically and do that. So physical violence you should avoid. That is the important thing. Physically, don't hurt anybody. So that is the expression physical. But second, subtler is more hard, word level. So sometimes intentionally and unintentionally, we hurt people by our words. But that is also very serious because people physically hit somebody, they say you forget. But once you hurt somebody by words, they will sometimes remember for days, months, years, or sometimes lifetime. So you should be, that is why Swami's basic fundamental thing for speech, first thing, rule. Is it necessary to speak? If it is not necessary to speak, don't speak. Silence is golden, Swami says. First criteria. In its gathering, people want to say something. One time we had discussion like that. Somebody asked, my father was giving the study circle. So can I say something? My father said, do you have something to say or you want to say something? Oh, then the poor guy he was taken aback. So anyway, so just if you don't have anything, we don't need to. So silence is golden. First, is it necessary to speak? Then it is necessary to speak. Second important thing, is it truthful? If it is not truthful, don't say that. So if it is not truthful, even if it is necessary and truthful, third criteria, will it hurt anybody? Because you may say, oh, you doesn't look good, or you look ugly, or something negative thing. If it hurts, don't say that. So is it really pleasing? That is very important, because the thing is, as I said, people carry that negative comment you make for life. So is it really hurting people, so you should not hurt. And fourth thing is, Swami says, talk softly. Some people, Swami says, you talk, the whole street will hear. So if you are talking to you, you should hear. So Swami is the thing in a divine discourse when he gives, tens of thousands people will be listening because it's far. But when we were there in the veranda sitting with him talking, he will be talking to, says Rama, Krishna, only that person, just you are next to him, but no, he won't be able to hear. Only that person will hear. So talk softly. That is very important. Not only should be sweetly, as I said, don't hurt, but it should be talk softly and sweetly. Said, don't be rude or rough in your talk. And then, as I said, it should be helpful. And then the last important thing is, yes, it should be necessary, it should be truthful, and it should be soft, it should be sweet, and but it should be brief, concise, to the point. Just don't be verbose to tell one point. Somebody talks about half an hour. What did they say after the half an hour? You have to scratch your hand. You can't even get one point. So you should have clarity, and you should make brevity and points. So this is what the speech, because to answer to the question, I'm giving answer. So next is speech is very important. Speech is one of the very powerful instruments. So Swami says you can demolish somebody's enthusiasm, courage by negative words, or you can, even somebody is down, depressed, you can encourage them. That is why Swami says even giving encouraging words, pat on the back is also a service. The famous thing is in Mahabharata, there is a story of a thing called Shalya Saratyam, famous word, Swami uses that. There is a guy called Shalya, this Karna is supposed to be great hero and who's fun. But this guy is the charioteer, Shalya. He talks so negative. You are this, you had this curse, you are this. But this guy is such a hero also, just you get completely demoralized and depressed. So whenever you talk too much negativity, that is why they say positive reinforcement is very important. So just you need to do that. So just encouraging words. And then next is thought level. That is the hardest. So because deeds, whatever you hurt other people, people obviously see. And you are telling bad words and then they also can hear. But thoughts, I may be talking nicely, Ram is such a sweet guy, and inside thinking, oh, this man is not good. He's just you think thoughts, we can hide it, but God knows inside and out. So I've seen so many times Swami experiences. You may be telling what you are thinking, right? You are thinking like this. He said, just you will be. He's an open book for God. So your thoughts are important, very important. One time, this I shared before a long time ago. In Vrindavan, we were having satsang with Swami, few students and teachers. So then the student Swami asked, what did you do this morning? So every morning they have little message thought for the day and they read something. So Swami, today we talked about Naxalites. Naxalites is like terrorists, like some of these people. I don't think they are not anymore there because they're eliminated. They are very violent people. So they used to hurt people, they're Naxalite. So we talked about it. This was about 30 years ago. That time it was there, the movement, 35, 40 years ago. Then Swami said, students, you are all Naxalite. We were shocked because those who are nicely well dressed, they're very well behaved boys compared to the outside standard. My God, how is Swami is telling you these are Naxalite? Then Swami said, you think because you don't physically hurt people and talk, I know your thoughts. Even to have negative thoughts is hurting somebody. So you should not even have negative thoughts. That is the highest. Have purity in thoughts. Every time a thought comes, is it good for? That is why the highest, best thought is samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. May all the worlds be happy. That is the best. That means you are wishing for the peace and happiness of not only all human beings, animals, plants, the whole world. That is the positive thought. Anytime you think negative, that is violence. That is not, Swami said. So we may think we are not, but these thoughts are travel so fast. So as you spiritually advance, you can see something you're thinking about. I want to see that person, that guy will come. Something won't happen, it happens because your powers of thought become so powerful because of your purity of the thoughts. So that is why, so think no evil, think what is good. That's what Swami said. Speak no evil, speak what is good. Do no evil, do what is good. This is the way to God. So that's why at thought level, word level, deed level, if you do, and this is the simplest, and that's why you do. You may not know scriptures, you may not need Vedas, we may not know Puranas or thing, but this is a simple thing. Everybody can practice for that. Think good thoughts and good words and good deeds. So that is how we get rid of the vasanas. Okay, so we'll continue next week. Sai Ram.